to the Edge Morning Show.
With Chris Knight, Eric Johnson, Fox 2's Vic Faust, and Tabitha Hassell.
The Edge starts now.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's the story?
The story?
Our story begins on a Friday morning.
Great Friday.
What's today?
It's Friday.
Yeah. It's Friday already?
I am ready to be back on the air.
We've got work to do.
But we're gonna have some fun.
Let's go.
Ready?
I was born ready.
Come on, it's showtime.
Hey, welcome to The Edge. It is showtime, and it's Friday, and Brendan's here. Oh my God, what a great day.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, and we've almost got you talked into buying hair.
Yours looks really good today.
Really?
It looks really good today. And
Thank you, Hans Wyman.
yes.
By the way, Hans Wyman, we have that on the website, that link where I went and did. Now, the only thing I did was it was the top. It was just the top.
Yeah, right. Just had a little yard work done.
Where I was balding. Little yard.
You're all right.
Little landscaping.
Yeah.
Tabitha saw me yesterday. Did you get a haircut?
Yeah.
I was like, no, I got a haircut last week.
It does look
Oh.
shorter today for some strange
So
reason.
my hair became a topic this morning, not to bore our listeners, but that's kind of what
It's,
we're
you know what?
You want to grow some hair? I'm telling you, what they do over at Hansman, they'll grow you some hair.
And I told you, we talked about this, that years and years and years ago, I was asked to become one of their spokespeople, and you would do the thing. And that's when they
Why
did
didn't you? Oh, it was the technology.
It was the different procedure. Yeah.
It's awesome. Now it's easy.
Yeah, this was
Doc's
back when they
awesome.
like glued everything
Bomb.
to your head, and it was kind of like you had to
Glued
go
it
back
to your head?
Kind of, yeah. It was a different world.
Well, this is how you do your own hair. Your own hair
Yes,
is replaced
yes.
in.
But I don't have any. What are they going to pull it from? My back?
I don't know.
You don't want to
I'll
know.
have really, really curly hair.
I'll ask today. I'll ask the good people over there. That's funny.
I bet you they could do it. Urlacher did it.
That's right. Hey, guys, happy Friday. Big show today coming up. We're going to break a little earlier. We'll break at like 8:10, 8:11 today and come back with Colonel Joe Adams. Last week, he said that he wanted to come back on and talk to us about what's happening with guns and how they're coming into St. Louis, because we already know it's a major, major issue. And as the weather warms, I'm sorry, it's just one of those things. As the weather warms every year, gun shootings go up, murders go up, and the homicide rate in St. Louis City goes up. And not just city, but also in the county. You just see more crimes. Joe, one of the best guests you're ever going to listen to, will come in and talk about. I have no idea where he's going with it.
Right.
I haven't even talked to Joe since last Friday.
I'm going
set
to
up with our friend Mark Ryan.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to assume that he's going to say they're coming across our southern border. We'll see.
that would really anger me if they are. I know
I'm
that.
pretty sure that's the case.
Man, that would anger me. That would not be good. But anyway, Colonel Joe's coming up at 8:15. We'll take him to 9 o'clock. We might you let us know if we have a break in between, Brendan. We'll see where we go. He'll stay with us. Then at 9 o'clock, St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell joins us to talk about some programs where they're trying to educate young African-American men on what to do during traffic stops, because we've seen issues happen there. Also, the other programs, cutting-edge programs that St. Louis County has put into place to try to make things better for everybody, to make things safer, and to educate people, because we all know it comes about education. It's all about an education. By the way, are we on the Facebook line today, guys? Are we on?
Yeah,
We are
that's what
on.
I'm looking. Yeah. There we are.
I just wanted to make sure. I didn't see us. I know that I've got the worst computer of the group here. Didn't see us on there. Friday, let us know what your plans are for the weekend. Share the show. We appreciate it. 100.7 The Viper. Once again, 100.7 The Viper on Facebook. You can also catch us on YouTube at The Morning Edge. And be sure to watch us when you can, because you never know how long a show is going to be around.
Tab.
Isn't that the truth?
You keep track. I don't take it as personal.
Oh, I get so upset over it.
I almost wear it as a badge of honor. So
It's like we put all that hard work into a show, and then Facebook used to delete our shows. So we started on YouTube. Now YouTube is deleting our shows. It's so frustrating to me, because when that happens, we have no record of it. We have no recording. What we put online on Facebook or on YouTube, that's it.
But
when
don't
the
they
show's
tell-
over,
ask-
it's done.
Don't they tell you why it's
Yeah,
been
they
flagged?
did. They told me it wasn't yesterday's show. It was the Wednesday show. And they said it was for medical misinformation.
Oh,
was
for
that
me-
the day-
that
was that the
medical
day we had
misinformation.
Dr.
That
Naputi
was-
talking vaccine, of course.
Exactly. And they probably have like in his name in the algorithm. It's Naputi.
Naputi, cancel.
We need to
I
start
think
calling him
so.
Napucci again.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
so,
gosh.
so it doesn't get flagged.
That's funny. Well, let me run. So basically, we appreciate it. when you join the show, I'd give our phone number. No need to give the phone number today till after the 9 o'clock hour because there's not going to be a chance to call in, but we try to watch all your comments. Once again, 100.7 The Viper on Facebook. And you can stream us and take us wherever you go at viperrocks.com. Once again, viperrocks.com. Let's talk about some of the quick headlines before we get into our two long guests today. Cardinals back in town this weekend. Blues back in town. It's going to be a big weekend downtown. The weather's supposed to be great. Summer breeze, make me feel fine. Let's bring the Cubs in and sweep their ass this weekend. Let's sweep the Avs' ass this weekend. And we've got 30,000 in Busch Stadium starting tonight with the Cubs series, 30,000 tickets. The Blues have gone up to half capacity. It makes no sense. If you look at CDC research, they should be full capacity just because they're, quote, indoors. 9,000. But 9,000 is going to be a whole lot better than 5,000.
It'll be a very loud 9,000.
And Blues fans, if you're going to the game, make a lot of noise, especially with the dirty Avalanche. Hey, they may be more talented. They're healthy. We're not. But you know what? There's a lot of fight in the Blues.
And they're part of the Kroenke family.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I know. They are. So anyway, big weekend downtown. Blues, Cardinals tonight, 6:45. Blues play at 8:30, so you can watch most of that Cardinals game, then go right into the...
Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm excited about it. Tabitha is too, I know, because she's a sports fan, not. Anyway, fully vaccinated fans, though, and of course, everybody who goes to the game tonight is vaccinated. We know that. You don't have to wear a mask. So remember that when you go to the Cardinals.
Yeah, is there anybody that goes to the game that says, I am not vaccinated?
I don't know, maybe not. Who knows?
There'll probably be mask wearers.
Hey, quick update from yesterday. I was upset with what my church was doing. Remember that, St. Joseph Carnival? Well, the lead pastor sent out a note later in the day and said, I didn't mean to. Apparently, there was some pushback. Now you don't have to be quartered off if you haven't, quote, been vaccinated, or if your kids haven't been, you can just sit in the other pews as normal. So that changed.
As it should. That was wrong.
Yeah, within 2 hours of the show, it was changed yesterday. So I was happy to see that.
Stop segregating people by vaccinated status.
Guess what, guys? Only 143 people hospitalized throughout the entire St. Louis metropolitan area. It continues to go down. And that's not even taking into effect what could be flu. 143 people in 2.8 million. There are some people, but the ICU usage has gone down. So has the those in the ICU and on ventilators. That's great news all the way around. Those are some headlines. And authorities still have not found the guy from South Carolina.
Right.
As we saw. Can you remember his name? Terry.
I don't.
Come on, Tabitha. You say you have a crime blog. Come on, Tabitha. I need you. And my damn computer doesn't work. Anyway, we'll talk more about that. Yes. They're still looking for this jackass who shot and killed two innocent people in St. Louis last week.
And numerous people allegedly in South Carolina.
And multiple murders along the way. Also stole a license plate. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll set it up. We'll tee it up for Colonel Joe Adams, talking about what's going on with the shootings in St. Louis, where the guns are coming from, and who knows what else Colonel Joe will be talking about, but you won't want to miss it. It's Can't Miss Radio. It's we talk about this being the fastest 2 hours of radio. His segments are the fastest segments as well that you're going to find, along with Dr. Eric Naputi. All right, we appreciate you joining us. We're rocking and rolling on a Friday morning. Brendan Shanahan, Tabitha Hassell, I'm Vic Faust of Fox 2, back right after this.
This is the Edge Morning Show.
Weber Chevrolet has been in business since 1902. No other car dealer in St. Louis of any brand can say that. Nobody sells more Chevrolet, period. Weber Chevrolet is one dealer with three roofs. In Missouri at Olive and 270, and in Illinois Metro East, Columbia, and Granite City. All easy to get to, just follow the 270 loop. Also, all online accessible at WeberChevrolet.com. Right now, Weber Chevrolet is open but very thorough in their cleaning, disinfecting, and social distancing rules. And don't forget, Weber Chevrolet service departments are award-winning and second to none. In fact, other dealers send their problems to Weber Chevy to fix. Now during this crisis, Weber Chevrolet has teamed up with Detroit to come up with awesome deals to help people save money and manage their budget. Discounts, incentives, and the ability to not make your payment for up to 4 months. Weber Chevrolet since 1902, WeberChevrolet.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/find. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/find. That's ZipRecruiter.com/find. ZipRecruiter.com/find.
Push dirt and boundaries. Seidenstricker Nobe Partners has great financing, lease, and warranty options on our compact construction equipment. Right now, save up to $2,500 on a brand new John Deere compact track loader with a competitive trade-in. Looking for a partner you can trust? Our dedicated service and sales departments are waiting to help. Seidenstricker Nobe, your partner for the job site. snpartners.com.
Offer valid through 5/31/21. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Community State Bank congratulates the senior class on reaching this milestone. They offer a wide variety of banking services to suit your needs. Stop in at Community State Bank or visit c-s-b.com. Member FDIC.
Experience golf courses from around the world with a trip to Cottleville. That's right, at Benediction Golf in Cottleville, you can virtually play Pebble Beach, St. Andrews, Sawgrass, Augusta, or one of hundreds of other courses around the world at their comfortable indoor facility on Highway N by Rack House. It's BYOB and bays are only $50 an hour, so bring a foursome and compete. Or check your swing with the SkyTrax launch monitor and shot analytics in real time. Benediction Golf, benedictiongolf.com on Facebook and Instagram.
The important thing to look for in a roofing company right now is, are they local? Brian Dawson Roofing has served the area for years, locally owned and operated. Brian Dawson Roofing will take care of all your roofing needs, from shingles to cedar shake, replacement to new construction. Call 465-9465 for a local roofing company that stands behind their work. Call Brian Dawson Roofing today, a local, fully insured roofing company. 465-9465. Online at briandawsonroofing.com.
Bentley's Marine and Electronics is open in Lake St. Louis and ready to serve you. Check out their marine section for boat accessories, marine audio, water floats and supplies. Upgrade your vehicle with a new stereo, amp, speakers, reverse camera, remote start, and more. And don't forget the home theater. Shop local with confidence and let Bentley's Marine and Electronics show you that they meet or beat the big box stores. On Lake St. Louis Boulevard across from Denny's. Online at Bentley'sElectronics.com and on Facebook at Bentley's Marine and Electronics.
Whether you're a pro on the job site or managing properties, clean and safe is your #1 priority. And Lowe's has the pro-grade cleaning supplies you need. We go beyond the basics, bringing you commercial cleaning from top brands like Clorox, Zep, and Rubbermaid. And in larger sizes, so you can take on any cleaning job, knowing you have the quantity you need. Shop Lowe'sForPros.com and have your items delivered or pick up in store. Lowe's, the new home for pros. U.S. only.
Here comes more of the Edge Morning Show.
Hey, welcome back to The Edge, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy May 21st. You're listening to The Edge 816. Brendan Shanahan in for Chris Knight, who's down in Florida. Eric Johnson in L.A. tonight with Platinum Rock Legends. They're playing for military tonight. Looking forward to that. They call it their biggest payday ever. So go to it, Eric. Tabitha Hassell's here. I'm Vic Faust of Fox 2. Thanks for joining us on a Friday. We've got our friend, the one and only, Colonel Joe Adams, joining us this morning. Colonel was with us last weekend. For those who may not know, once again nominated for a Congressional Medal of Honor after fighting the drug cartel crime, rescuing women and children, trained armies in over 40 countries. The man knows it. He has seen it. He joined us last week, blew people away with what he has experienced at the border, what he's seen, what's happening. And in that conversation last week, Colonel told us, well, I could come back and talk to you at another time about what's going on with guns and some of the the homicides we're seeing and where this is happening and why it's happening. So we jumped right back on the phone. We got Colonel on the phone now. Colonel, thanks again for taking time to join us this Friday morning. You doing all right today?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, I can tell you this much. You got off the phone last week with us, and our text line on Facebook at 100.7 The Viper, we appreciate people sharing the show, and my phone was blowing up. Got to get that guy back on. Last week, you felt compelled. There was strong conviction to bring up something with the guns, and that you said that you could kind of help give us an idea of what's going on. If you could, just start wherever you want to.
Well, my day starts about 4 a.m., and I was actually working on some weapons in the gun room, and my wife come down, and she said, "What are you going to talk about on the radio today?" And actually, just, the gun problem in St. Louis and where it's coming from, and just, she said, "Don't you think you ought to make some notes?" I go, "Well, I really don't need to, but okay." And so I made my notes, and which took about 3 lines. And she said, "Let me see your notes for the show," because she's my biggest fan. And she said, "This is your idea of notes? I mean, this doesn't say anything." I said, "Well, I don't really need to make notes. I mean, these are just bullet points." So anyway, if we've got time today, I really think we should revisit the cartels in the connection to the Mideast.
Joe, we're taking you to 9 o'clock, so you take us where you want to go with this, because
All right. I'll do the best I can, but my head is just so filled with information because I'm a part of the professional intelligence community in this country with connections from the Pentagon all the way to even local law enforcement. So I have a lot of information, and unfortunately, well, a couple of other things I like to talk about, get some comments in here about the hate groups in the BLM in the media, the tie-in between those people, and I'll also talk briefly about the militia that I'm organizing in Washington, Missouri, called the Washington Guard, and why I'm doing that and what I expect the outcome is. Anyway, if you want to start with the Second Amendment issues and the guns in St. Louis and the increase in violent crimes and using weapons, this is a very, very sensitive and uncomfortable conversation we're about to have. The reason is I'm an endowment-level member of the Lifetime NRA, as my wife and my children. I believe 100% in NRA and what their mission is, but this also involves the NRA, gun shows, and the people that are making money and channeling guns directly to North County and other areas across the country, and doing these things. And so I guess maybe the title of this conversation should be Policing Our Own, that as gun advocates and Second Amendment advocates and NRA members, we need to do a better job on policing ourselves of who's doing this. And as we have this conversation, I'll explain.
Who's doing what, Joe?
Well, yeah, how this started was my wife, again, when people ask her, how do you deal with a husband that goes around the planet and tries to solve all the problems? And she says, well, one thing about Joe you have to understand is the fact that he's always in the wrong place at the right time. And that pretty much sums it up. And again, here it comes again. I'm in the wrong place at the right time. So I get approached by a person here in St. Louis, and he says to me, recently the FBI raided a family member's house and confiscated his computer, ransacked the house, and released him. And in the process, the man commits suicide. We would like to know, Joe, if you can help us, we would like to know what the raid was all about. The FBI is not talking to us, so they have no idea why the FBI raided the house. They have no idea what led up to the man whose house was raided. He committed suicide. We would just like some answers, which is typical. I hear that a lot. And I said, well, let me tell you how information from the FBI works. You have to have something to trade off. You have to have something bigger. They're willing to give you information and work with you. So, and I've been doing it for years and years. I mean, I could not have arrested and brought in top 10 fugitives wanted by the FBI if I didn't have their cooperation. So, and I said, unfortunately, in my retirement, I'm trying to retire. In my retirement, I don't have anything to trade right now to the FBI for that information. And she said, well, if they ever get a chance, we really appreciate some answers. And so I just kind of put that in the back of my brain. Then a few weeks later, I have an acquaintance approach me and say, hey, could you do me a favor? My wife's died of cancer, and I'm all alone. Could you find for me my long-lost love from high school? Now, this is leading up to the gun thing. And I go, well, okay. And I do. They get reunited, and they have a relationship, okay, to this day. But he said, and if you'll do that for me for free, I will tell you where the guns are coming from and being shipped and sold to North County to the gangs and the nefarious characters up there that's causing all the problems. And all of a sudden, now I'm in the wrong place at the right time. So I said, okay, fine. So I reunite him and his girlfriend, and he tells me who's running the guns and how they're doing it. So really, and I know this guy he's a solid source of information. So I'm thinking, okay, in a nutshell, I already know who the players are, and I know how they're doing it. What do I do with this information? This is not going to be good for the Second Amendment legitimate people. This reflects on everyone, because the other side, the extremists, and we know who they are, would use that one little bit of information to make everybody look bad. It's the old bad apple in the bunch theory, okay? And then, of course, the media will jump all over it.
And by extremists, are you meaning Sunnis? The Sunni Muslims?
No, I'm talking about the bad guys. No, I'm talking about the Democrats.
Oh,
that's what I'm talking
Well, no, we're just trying to find out
okay.
because you say that this guy had information. How does he know, and what's going on with it?
Well, okay, let me get to that. So now I'm going to do an investigation and verify his information of how the guns are coming into St. Louis and where they're coming from and how they're being distributed to the people who shouldn't have guns and want them for all the wrong reasons. We're not talking about legitimate people that go to gun shows and buy guns for self-defense, like the influx. I've seen a tremendous influx in the black community at gun shows because they realize they need weapons to defend themselves because the police are not going to be there when it happens. These are legitimate people. I'm talking about the bad guys, the gangbangers, the people that's out shooting people, random drive-bys, all these things. So if I'm going to do an investigation that could reflect badly on legitimate gun owners, I'm going to contact the NRA before I do the investigation. So I contact the NRA at all different levels, from Washington right down to the local, state, and local representatives of the NRA, and told them about the investigation that I'm in the process of conducting. And I want the NRA to sanction off on this thing, to say that, yes, we're aware of the investigation and we approve and back Colonel Adams' investigation. I couldn't get them to do it. The NRA didn't want to talk to me. When I finally got the NRA representatives on the phone, I'm saying this is going to be huge. This is going to be big. And when the media gets a hold of this thing, it could reflect. They're going to spin it. The bad media is going to spin it to make all gun owners look bad, which has got nothing to do with my investigation. The NRA wouldn't help me. They wouldn't give me any cooperation. They wouldn't give me any approval. They frankly didn't know what to do. I said, just tell me that you'll want a copy of the report and the results from the federal agencies that will be investigating this. Just tell me I have your support. They couldn't do it.
So what do we make?
Now what do I do?
Yeah, what do we make of
this? Do I
this?
continue with the investigation, which could make the NRA look bad? And I hate that because, I'm born and bred NRA. But I have no choice because people are dying. The community is becoming more dangerous because of what I'm about to tell you. Okay, so I take the information, and first of all, I ID the perpetrators involved in this. Then, and I can't go into details because if this does go through the feds, I don't want to taint their investigation. So, by means that I can't disclose, I infiltrate the organization that are trafficking guns to directly targeting North County. And they basically, after I befriended them, told me how they do it. And I even asked, I said, why would you be willing to sell weapons to people that want to use them for, nefarious reasons? They said, because they'll pay 3 times as much as anybody else. I said, so this is strictly about profit. And they said, yeah. Oh, I have to mention also, these are white guys selling the black gangs and the criminals in North County guns with no conscience just because of money. So here's how it works. What these people do is they are basically parasitical on gun shows. And they hang around gun shows, and not just St. Louis gun shows, all over the country. They've told me their whole program because they thought that I could possibly be a source for them for Glock pistols. Glock pistols, if you ever look at the police reports, are probably confiscated more or used in crime scenes in and around this area than any other gun. And for whatever reason, I don't even own a Glock. So they basically shop for Glocks. And in fact, and I asked them, I said, do you have any Glocks for sale? She said, yeah, we're not going to sell them to you, though. I said, well, I mean, I'm interested. They said, no, because we can get 3 times as much in North County. Really? So what they do, they frequent gun shows, hang around gun shows, and look for estate sales, all kinds of things, but they primarily targeted Glock pistols because that's what the weapon of choice is.
But are these stolen weapons this group has? Because I hear from police talking many of the crimes that are committed with stolen weapons.
Well, yeah, that too. They'll buy any weapon. They don't run checks on those weapons. They're buying weapons from people they don't even know, and have no credentials. These are not licensed gun dealers. These are just profiteers.
Right.
And so these people, this is how organized they are. So the guns are collected through means, through estate sales, gun shows. From what they do, they hang outside of gun shows. One of their postures, they hang outside of gun shows, and people are walking in with guns in their hands. And they say, hey, what do you got there? Oh, I got a Glock here. Oh, really? Well, how much you want for it? And they say, okay. And so they pay premium price for them. Okay, they don't even get into the gun shows. These are just parasites hanging around the gun shows, vultures. So they buy all these weapons, and when they get enough weapons stockpiled, they're shipped or transported to another town in Missouri. So they're not going right from St. Louis to North County. This is a organized criminal operation. They go to a small town in Missouri, and from there, they're sent out to areas, exclusively North County, to sell to people who couldn't normally walk in and buy a gun. And that's where these guns are coming from.
That makes a lot of sense.
They quote unquote told me, quote unquote, that we supply all of the weapons to North County to people who can't buy them normally because they'll pay top dollar, 3 times what the gun's worth.
So are these non-cartel groups?
Okay, now here it gets bad.
Okay.
It's where it turns sour. So I've got all this information. Now, don't forget about the story about the house that got raided by the FBI. So I go to a federal law enforcement office who knows me and said, I've got something to trade for some information. I tell them the information that I want. They say, well, what have you got to trade? And I lay out my entire investigation. Times, places, who, their identities, their driver's license, photo, everything to federal law enforcement. Everything. And during the process of this investigation that I conducted over a period of weeks, I also got into the straw party angle of some of these weapons that are being sold and shipped to North County. Straw parties being people who are buying guns legitimately and giving them the guns to people who can't buy them.
Right, like girlfriends, wives, mothers, etc.
Oh, you hit it right on the head. I'm sitting there. During the course of investigation, working these shows and working these crowds, I see people that are sitting there filling out papers, usually a woman, filling out papers to buy a gun legitimately, while a guy stands 2 rows back waiting on her to finish the gun purchase, then go out to the car, and she gives him the gun and they drive away. Then I see her go back in to the show and do the same thing with another person and another person. 3 times on one occasion I saw straw parties working legitimately, buying weapons and giving them to people who can't fill out the papers. Now, and I include that in my report. Meanwhile, the St. Charles SWAT team is sitting in the parking lot of the St. Charles Gun Show, and I go over and I tell them what's going on. Or they tell me there's nothing we can do about it. Now, remember that phrase, nothing we can do about it. So I've got a house being raided by the FBI that people want to know what led up to this, and their family member committed suicide, and the FBI won't give them the information, okay? Now I have an investigation, which is huge. People are dying. I mean, I'm sure there's cartel involved here somewhere with some of these guns.
That was my question.
I give all the information to two federal agents sitting right there, and they ran all my information on the people involved in this and all that, and verified everything, and said to me, "There's nothing we can do." I go, "There's nothing you can do. You know who's selling the guns. You know who's buying the guns. You know who they're selling them to. And you're telling me as a federal law enforcement officer, saying right here to my face, with all my experience and all my knowledge, you're telling me there's nothing we can do." And I finally said, "You know something? There's nothing you can do because you won't do anything.
That's exactly
the
point.
You haven't tried to do anything. The only thing that you know about this gun running to North County and killing innocent people is what I've told you. You mean you can't start an investigation? You can't put these guys under surveillance? You can't sell them and tell them on a recorded conversation, hey, I'll sell you these guns, but they're stolen, but I'll sell them to you because they'll buy them? That's not entrapment. This is a legitimate investigation that people are suffering and need help. Now, and then I said, okay, since I give you all this information, would you please have the FBI turn over the information of why you raided that house and what led up to what would force this guy to commit suicide? And he said, no, we can't give you that information. I said, I just gave you an entire investigation that would have cost a lot of money to the federal government. At least it's a starting place to go. Now you're telling me you won't give me the information of why the house was raided? No, the FBI won't cooperate with us. They won't give us the information. So I basically walked out of there with my butt in my hands, spent all the time and money to do the investigation, gave it to federal law enforcement, and they're doing nothing. Go ahead and comment.
Wow. The problem that we have now, Joe, is the fact that you tell us this, and we're trying to figure out what's going on with everything now. I don't even know where to start with it, going all the way back to the NRA. I mean, at least it shows you're legitimate, too. You're an NRA member calling out the NRA.
I was trying to cover their ass.
And Joe, I want to clarify from a listener question here. When somebody is approached, if I'm at a gun show, I'm walking into a gun show, and someone approaches me and says, I want to buy your weapon. How much do you want? They say, here, I'll give you $500 for it. That's not illegal for me to sell them my weapon.
Nope.
And that's
totally legal.
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought.
Totally legal. But now here's the thing is, there's a lot of this going on, and the right people in the right places know about it. We have to police our own. I just policed for the federal government. I policed my own. I policed the NRA. I policed these people who are selling guns to people who shouldn't have guns. I'm doing the policing. Why am I doing the policing?
Well, and we know it's
all
happening.
need to do the policing. If we have a friend that tells me, I got this gun, but it's stolen, well, hello, guess what? Now, you either get rid of the gun right now and drop it off at law enforcement, or I'm going to call the police. I'm not talking about being a rat here or being an informant. I'm saying doing what's right for the public. And all this bad stuff reflects on people like me, legitimate gun owners, who are doing the right thing.
But the bigger question is,
the media's going to put a spin on this.
But why doesn't law enforcement want to do anything about it? I mean, just like there's so many things we could do to take guns off the street. We could bring back stop and frisk. They don't want to do it because it might violate a criminal's civil rights. But if we know this is taking place, why is the reason that law enforcement doesn't want to deal with it? Why don't they want to take guns off the streets?
I want someone to tell me. I'm supposed to be this super smart guy, according to my wife. So I want someone to tell me why aren't they reacting. They're not even reacting on my information. And this is huge. I don't know how many people have been killed with those guns since I did the investigation.
Right. And it would be an easy investigation. I mean, they could literally stand outside of these gun shows and video and watch people and build a case very easily. Why don't they do it? It doesn't make any sense.
I could get them into the organization.
And the guns are going everywhere, as we see. North St. Louis. I mean, you brought up North County, but then they're funneled into St. Louis City because
I say I'm using verbiage used by the smugglers, the people who are selling the guns. They use the verbiage North County. I did not. We sell all of the guns. We traffic all of the guns to North County. That's their verbiage, not mine.
What do we do, Joe?
Well, you tell me.
I don't know.
Somebody needs to tell me what, there's an opportunity for law enforcement to put a stop to it, and they're not doing it. Now, why?
Does it come, do you think it's orders from the top? Because we know that at the very top, unfortunately, I have nothing but respect for all law enforcement officers, especially the people working out in the field. But I think we all know that at the very top, we've seen, it's been proven that it's very political. It's a very political job when you make it all the way to the top. So I'm assuming that people at the top are giving out these commands that trickles down to the lower levels that says, we're not going to do anything about this.
That's obvious. That's the obvious answer. These law enforcement people did not become law enforcement officials to sit there and do nothing.
Absolutely.
Well, but I see.
This directly comes down from the top.
Okay,
Don't get involved. Don't pull them over. Don't push your luck. Don't violate anybody's civil rights. All these things. They're so scared of PC.
But where does it come from the top, Joe? Because
they are not allowed to do their jobs.
We've got Eric Schmidt, the Missouri Attorney General, on this show, who's done more than any other Attorney General that we've had in this area for a long time.
I think we're talking more about FBI, more the FBI than local law enforcement, is my guess.
Well, my investigation is federal level.
Right, exactly.
Federal.
Because local law enforcement is very different than federal law enforcement.
I have police here all the time, and when they always all say the same thing. There's only so much we can do. There's only so much we can do. You know why? Come down from the top.
Exactly.
There's only so much we can do. I swear the guy's got an M16 in his car. Well, he can't just stop him and
Well, you're right. And you know what, Joe? My biggest problem, and I talk about this often, is that the criminals, they're empowered. We empower the criminals. They have more rights than we do. We can't violate their rights. Somebody who could potentially have an illegal weapon, we can't search them. We can't stop them because we think they have an illegal weapon, but yet they can kill us. I mean, it makes me so mad that the criminals have more rights than we do, and we continue to empower them.
The only people that are responding and going by the rules are the good guys.
Of course. Absolutely. It is the way it's always been. And then we have these people want to have, gun control will solve everything. The only thing gun control solves is keeping law-abiding citizens like you and I from being able to protect ourselves.
Well, that's why this investigation was important. This is protecting the people that need the weapons, that are law-abiding citizens. This has got nothing to do with them.
Right.
But the media, not you people, and we know who we're talking about, will spin this against the legitimate gun owner.
Wow. Joe, we got to take a quick break. We'll come back and let you get in and talk, because you said you wanted to talk about BLM's involvement somehow, and I don't know what that means, but we'll come right back and talk about it.
Oh, yeah, get ready for this one. Okay.
All right, Colonel Joe Adams. We'll be right back with more of him. Brendan Shanahan, Tabitha Hassell. I'm Vic Faust of Fox 2. Don't go anywhere. Share the show, 100.7 The Viper. And then coming up at 9 o'clock, St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell joins us. Back with more of the fastest 2 hours of morning radio on The Edge after this.
Grab your coffee. The Morning Edge will be right back on 100.7 The Viper. Contractors Flooring Supply is your open to the public U.S. Corette, Casabella, Neptune, Nova, Metroflor, and Mohawk waterproof flooring specialist. 12 mil wear layers with premium pad attached at $247 per square foot. 20 mil at $297 a square foot. Nylon residential super dense carpet is just $287 per square foot installed over 8-pound lifetime Mohawk cushion. Dreamweaver Frisee carpet at 99 cents a square foot. Contractors Flooring next to New World King in Warrenton. Remember the beautiful pop and hiss listening to a brand new vinyl album? The warmth in the air, the magic of the sound. Vinyl can't be replaced, and vinyl is back. TheFinestVibes.com sells thousands of premium and collector's vinyl with hundreds of albums under $20, delivered straight to your door. Lynyrd Skynyrd, Bob Dylan, The Beatles, Prince, AC/DC, Queen, Frank Sinatra. TheFinestVibes.com has them all. Shop now. TheFinestVibes.com.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
An important message from Quiver River Electric Cooperative. During this unprecedented time in our world, we want to emphasize our commitment to continue delivering reliable power while keeping our members and employees safe. Our linemen are taking precautions to stay socially distanced. Other employees are working from home. Although we've adjusted our operations, we want you to know that we are still here and we will continue to keep the lights on. For more, visit quiver.com or call us at 1-800-392-3709. Quiver River Electric, a Touchtone Energy Cooperative.
Keep your resolution to quit cigarettes this time. Go to I Quit Vapor, 852 Bryan Road, O'Fallon. I Quit Vapor carries the salt nicotine systems, their latest juice flavors, and all of their pod systems. Let their staff explain why the salt nicotine system is so effective in helping you to quit cigarettes for good. It has a much smoother delivery and allows you to adjust the amount of nicotine intake. I Quit Vapor is still your one-stop shop for everything vapor. Keep your quit cigarette resolution this time. Go to I Quit Vapor, 852 Bryan Road, O'Fallon. Puff bars and disposables now available.
Hi, Conrad Bellman at Bellman's Car Connection in St. Peters. Right now, we're paying top dollar for your pre-owned vehicle. At Bellman Car Connection, we'll take anything on trade, van, Jeep, truck. Spring into a quality pre-owned car, truck, Jeep, SUV, or van today. The inventory is always fresh, so hurry in today before someone else buys the one you want. Bellman's Car Connection in St. Peters at Highway 70 and 370, where you will never pay the max. Online at carnection.com.
It's all about getting the most out of summer. And with Certified Refurbished from eBay, you can enjoy 100% of summer with up to 50% savings on top brands. So tackle your to-do list and break out the playlist with like new products from the brands you love, including Bose, Works, iRobot, and more. Complete with a 2-year warranty from Allstate. Time to go full-on summer with half-off top brands this year. Shop Memorial Day savings at eBay today.
Viper Weather with legendary chief meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hi, this is Viper meteorologist Dave Murray. Friday is upon us. Partly sunny skies. Temperatures much like yesterday with a fair amount of humidity in the air. 85 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy. Evening temperatures dropping out of the 80s and into the upper 70s, and 68 will do it for the low. The weekend, partly sunny skies. 85 for the high. Saturday, Sunday, partly sunny. 89-90 for the high Sunday afternoon. From the Viper Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray. Now back to the Edge on 100.7, The Viper.
Quiver River Electric, a Touchtone Energy Cooperative.
Hey, welcome back to The Edge, everybody. We appreciate you joining us with Brendan Shanahan, Tabitha Hassell, and Vic Faust of Fox 2. We've got the one and only Colonel Joe Adams on. He was nominated for a Congressional Medal of Honor. He worked the border for 12 years, saved countless women and children, was also one of the country's best trackers, worked in over 40 different countries, training armies up. We've talked to him about the cartel and what's going on there today, talking about the gun issue and what's happening in St. Louis. And before the break, I just want to let you know, Colonel, we've got about... Time goes by fast when you're here. We've only got about 11 minutes left, around that, roughly about 11 minutes left. So let's get into this quickly and let you go. You said that something needed to be said when it comes to guns and BLM.
Well, no, I did not say that.
Okay.
That was the gun thing was the first issue. That BLM is a whole separate issue.
Oh, okay.
In this systemic racism that they're pleading in this country. Anyway, is there systemic racism in this country? Without a doubt. Is there systemic racism within the police department? Absolutely not. The police departments are not systemic racist, okay? Now, but there is systemic racism, and you have to start with the school system.
Yeah, I've been saying it for years.
That's where it starts.
Right.
And there is racism. How come a child from an underprivileged community that has no tax base, that can't afford to go to schools, and we have all this money, we can give billions of dollars for, I don't know, gender change in Pakistan, and when these kids can't get a good education, don't get me going, and these kids can't get a good education like anybody else, everybody in this country has a right to a good education. Now, whether they'll do it or not, that's second, but they have a right to do it. Not lowering the standards so they can pass tests. No. Be held to those standards and bring them up to pass those tests. Anyway, I'm skipping ahead. So anyway, and I agree with, in fact, I think it was Attorney General Barr just came out and said, and he recognized the racism in the school system. That's a whole other issue. Anyway, I get this, because of last week's, I talked about how to defeat the cartels, and we probably should have readdressed that at some time, and I'll try and get through my thoughts here. So BLM has come out and said, Black Lives Matter have come out and they identify with the struggle of Hamas, and they feel sorry for Hamas, and they align their theology with Hamas.
I did hear that, yeah.
So, now, wait, say what?
I did hear that, yes.
Okay, so the cartels are helping finance Hamas terrorism, as well as the Hezbollah. We know through the DEA that the cartels are supplying them with narcotics to raise money. So now we got the Hamas, the Hezbollah, involved with the Mexican cartels, which, by the way, there's 10, not cartel, it's cartels. And you have to understand the Hamas and the Hezbollah are nothing but proxies for Iran. So Iran can't be launching missiles on Israel, so they have the Hezbollah do it in the Hamas. That's what this is about. They're proxies. They're doing the work for Iran and Syria that want to do, but they can't politically do it. Where do you think all the rockets came from that they 4,000 to today's count? Where do you think they came from? Intelligence Services knows. Iran and Syria provided the rockets.
But what about the United States funding? I mean, we know that Obama, under the Obama administration, and now under the Biden administration, I mean, we send money to Palestinians, which, of course, goes directly to Hamas, but no one does or says anything about it.
Not a word. And not wire transfers and bank transfers, cash.
Cash, absolutely.
Plain of cash, billions of dollars Obama gave to these terrorists. Okay? Now, so BLM sides with Hamas. Hamas is a menace with the cartel, proxies of Iran. Well, how do you think that makes BLM look? Like a bunch of terrorists, a bunch of idiots. So, okay, so look, BLM has been breeding this mentality of individuals not obeying the law, the American citizens. High-speed chases, resisting arrest, carrying a Glock pistol with a 30-round extended magazine sticking out of your shirt, into the Galleria under your shirt, fleeing when told to stop, pointing your gun at a police officer, then being handcuffed and put on the ground, begging for mercy, apologizing, I'm so sorry, I can't breathe, mommy, please help me, because they know the police have body cams, and the media, instead of focusing on how they got there, they focus on this poor criminal on the ground has now become the victim. And I'll give you a good example of that, and that's that Gayle King on CBS News. Now, in the intelligence community, we refer to the CBS News as the Communist Broadcast Service. I would like to see somebody put...
Well, the director of CBS News at one point just a couple months ago said he would like to cleanse the world of conservatives. I mean, that was actually a statement that he made.
Oh, they make me physically ill. I can't watch them. If I see Gayle King on TV, I just change the channel.
Well, we know national news will do that. I've talked about it a lot.
Gayle King's posturing,
but it's not just Gayle King.
Oh,
I have to use an example.
Gayle King, it's Lester
I'm setting an
Holt.
example here. Okay, Gayle King sticks out in my mind because I've watched her do it this morning. I watched her to see how the media is being twisted. Okay, so she's positioning on systemic racism within the police. Well, she's crazy. The police and she preaches this, that the police prey on the poor black community, and what she doesn't talk about is that when a particular race of 14% of the population but commits over 60% of the violent crimes in this country, odds are the police are going to encounter this racial group while enforcing the law. If you think I'm full of hot air, check FBI statistics. It's even worse than what I said, okay?
Well, it's certainly true in the city of St. Louis.
I got a message for BLM and those other hate groups, and BLM's a hate group. I got a message for them, and I hope they're listening, that if you don't want to risk being shot by a police officer, stop breaking the law. Period.
And those situations can happen. And coming up at 9 o'clock, we're going to talk with St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell, who's doing some proactive things right now when it comes to teaching young men, specifically African Americans, how to deal with traffic stops. I mean, at the bare minimum, where people don't know because of how you're raised. But I do think, Joe, this specific topic that you brought up gets into a lot of systemic racism that you and I both agree exists in communities and schools where people aren't taught the right way to do things and are taught things the wrong way, and there is a bad attitude that's put with it because of things that they have seen or heard, and then people lose lives, people get in bad situations, police are shot, suspects are shot, nobody's happy, and people are dying.
Well, yeah, people are taught, unfortunately, from a young age to fear police, and that certainly causes a lot of problems as they get older and are pulled over by police. They don't want to comply because I don't think all legitimately fear for their lives, but I think that some do.
And they've been taught that. And like people like Gail King teaches them that.
Well,
it's wrong. But
there's a lot of
clean up our school systems, and everybody in this country gets a good education and wants to get a good education, and not lower the standards just to pass the test. None of this is going to change, and it comes from the family. The families, these people in these neighborhoods that can't afford good education, that is total crap.
It is, and you're right about the school system.
We need to step up to the plate and get people the proper education.
Some of the schools in St. Louis and North County are terrible.
Joe, before you go and time runs out, we've got a few minutes left. I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about, because you're serious about a militia that you're starting. What is it, why, and what will it be good for?
Well, when I left the border, working with Border Patrol in 2018 and disbanded my group, I have a very successful militia working down there. Now, the media, again, has redefined the word militia. They talk about the Syrian-backed militia operating in Syria. That's not a militia. That's a paramilitary group. They're paramilitary people. A true militia supports the existing government and protects the community, and when the police and the law enforcement and the military can't handle the situation, they come in and support that. They are actually a part of the community. Look at the original Minutemen. You know, they were just regular people who took up arms to protect the country and the citizenship when they needed to, when the government could not, or the British was involved in, tyranny. So that's our format. Now, so they say, so I proved, and I talked to Senator White's office up there in his chief of staff, I ran a successful militia under that guides on the border for 12 years working with federal law enforcement. Totally never had a problem in 12 years. Supporting them, enhancing their progress. It works if it's handled correctly. Now, do we have paramilitary skills? No, we have military skills. Most of my people are veterans. There's some people with different types of skills, communication, logistical support. So what I've done since the elections, and I see everything falling apart, and we've got cities under siege right now for months with law enforcement can't do anything. The law enforcement, hands are tied, they are overwhelmed with problems. Look at the riots in these cities, and the Ferguson was the first tip. These people started rioting and burnt down their own city.
Right.
What kind of mentality who burns down their own city? So what I've done is I've organized, and organizing, we started right after the election. People came to me and said, hey, things are getting out of control in this country, in these riots. Would you please help us organize a militia like you did on the border, working with law enforcement and government? Now, we work with law enforcement and government as long as they obey the Constitution. And we first recognize the Missouri Constitution's interpretation of the United States Constitution. We're so fortunate to live in Missouri because real Americans live in Missouri. I can't speak for New York and the rest of them. So I have organized a militia starting, and we're putting it together. It's called the Washington Guard. Our base camp is in Washington, Missouri, and I am leaving St. Louis. I am moving from St. Louis to establish that militia in Franklin County.
You're leaving that.
We're doing it the right way.
You're leaving that big, beautiful home that you
We will be
have.
there to support the community.
You're leaving that big, beautiful home you have, Joe?
Well, you know, you've been to my home. You realize I have built and restored, an estate. I have one of the finest built homes in Missouri. I have put every nickel, dime, and years of sacrifice into this home, millions of dollars. I am leaving this facilities because I think it's that important that I establish a militia to, when things get rough, to help protect the community.
Well, I would like to buy your house, but first I want to join your militia. So, Joe, how do I join the militia?
Yeah, and then we got to let him go because we got to get to break.
Okay, we've got an email address right now. It's Washington Guard, the number 9 at gmail.com. Washington Guard 9 at gmail.com.
Washington Guard 9.
For the original 9 people who got together before the revolution and said, hey, by the way, we can't put up with more of this British dictatorship and this tyranny. We're going to do something about it. There was 9 people who got together and decided enough is enough.
And do you need any special skills? Sorry, Vic. Oh. I know you're trying to. We have to go.
We have people at all different levels.
Perfect.
I prefer. We have a lot of police and veterans, but it's my problem is I only have so much time to vet everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
300 applications.
I'm going to join and I will vet them for you.
Okay, Joe, Colonel Joe, we love you, man. Thank you again. We'll catch right back up with you. We appreciate the information. Have a great weekend, my friend. All right.
All right. Thanks for the time.
All right.
Thank you, Joe.
Colonel Joe Adams, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell right after this.
Now another hour of The Edge Morning Show on KFNS Troy St. Charles. The Edge Morning Show.
All right, is that a Q2 or a Q3 expense?
Dwayne's CPA went MIA. To keep his books and his sanity, he needs to find a replacement ASAP.
Hey, Johnny, have you ever heard of a fungible good?
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Now another hour of The Edge Morning Show on KFNS Troy St. Charles. The Edge Morning Show.
Travers Automotive and RV is open at their newest location, I-70 and TRUs, with an awesome selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Travers Automotive and RV has Ford, Chevy, Ram, Lexus, BMW, Dodge, and Nissan, as well as new RVs from Mesa Ridge and Open Range, and a huge selection of used RVs. Travers Automotive and RV has the largest inventory of lifted truck and Jeep Wrangler in the market. Travers Automotive and RV in their newest location, I-70 and TRUs. Online at traversautoandrv.com.
The Edge Morning Show.
Local headlines now with Fox 2's Vic Faust.
Hey everybody, here's your quick headlines before we do an interview with St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell is taking the time to join us today. Believe it or not, it's been 10 years since the Joplin tornado. It's coming up on this. Everybody remembers the death and destruction that occurred there. It just makes you appreciate what we do have, especially being careful as we approach tornado season. Big weekend in St. Louis. The Cubs are in town to play the Cardinals. 30,000 fans will be at those games, or at least those tickets have been sold. The Blues also in town for Friday, Sunday games with Colorado Avalanche. The Enterprise Center, the capacity has been extended to 9,000 fans. By the way, at the Cardinals games, if you've been fully vaccinated, once again, you do not need to wear a mask. You do not need to wear a mask. And by the way, big thing for all the Lions Choice fans out there. That place reopens at the Enterprise Center today, just ahead of the Blues Game 3, which is a big deal. Waste Management is hosting a hiring event Friday and Saturday as people continue to look for jobs and looking for people to hire to help keep up with that. Also, a 2-year-old girl was shot Thursday in South St. Louis. Unfortunately, we see the gun violence continuing. It's a sad part of what's going on. but there was also 2 more people killed in Cahokia Heights in a crash Friday morning as well. You can catch up with that story on fox2now.com. Also, 143 people hospitalized with COVID-19 symptoms. That's the lowest total that we've had since this started, when we realized that people were actually in the hospital and they started counting. So that is a good sign. And, of course, max vaccination events for those who want to get the vaccine continue all throughout the St. Louis area. That's a quick look at your morning headlines. I'm Vic Faust. Hey guys, welcome back to The Edge. We appreciate you staying with us this morning. Giving out to Colonel Joe Adams. He certainly had a lot of things to say. Now we're going to switch gears as we have Brendan Shanahan here running the board. Tabitha Hassell, I'm Vic Faust of Fox 2. By the way, Eric Johnson's in LA with Platinum Rock Legends. They have a big concert tonight. Chris Knight is in Florida for a little vacation time, and we welcome in on this Friday morning, May 21st at 9:02. St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell. Wesley, good morning. Thanks for joining us. I know you don't have anything to do, right?
Just sitting back, there's a lot going on, obviously, but happy to be here.
Hey, Wesley, right out of the gate, I love what you're doing. I love what the program that you guys are working with. You guys have had several programs, as I've talked with your department about, where you're really trying to be proactive when it comes to teaching the community and going through a variety of issues. If you can discuss a few of those. First of all, a story that we did on Fox 2 a few weeks ago, trying to teach young men, young women, and in the story that we did, it looked like it was primarily African-American men, but it's not just African-American men, because I know my white 16-year-old son a lot of times would be clueless on how to handle a traffic stop. If you can kind of explain how that came about and, kind of what the intent is there, because I saw it, I was like, wow, people need to see this.
It's just about that community engagement and the community policing. We've seen across the region, but also across the country, that there has been a disconnect between many of our primarily at-risk communities, which tend to be African-American, but also, Hispanic, poor white, where you just don't see that solid relationship with law enforcement. And so we've been making a concerted effort, even before I was in office, to help build those bridges and reach out and connect these communities. Because what we see is that, and one thing that I always say is that it's hard to hate someone you know. And so when we connect these young people, or just citizens, with our police simulator you may have heard of, what we're finding is that we start gaining an understanding of one another, and they see officers as people, and officers see them and their unique perspectives, and it just helps build those bridges. So we're really proud of that work, and I think and I hope it's making an impact.
I hope it is too. Wesley, I'm really curious, how do we teach children from a young age not to fear police? Because overall, we know there's millions of traffic stops every single day, and there's very few incidents. We hear about the worst case scenarios, of course, but there's obviously most traffic stops are successful, but there's a lot of fear in the community, and I don't know how we overcome this.
It is and I look at it as a short-term fix, but then also we have our long-term approaches with respect to it, and on the short term, we're looking at our diversion programs, our alternatives to incarceration, our police community policing initiatives, where we bring groups with a partnership that we have with Chief Jimenez in St. Anne, where we bring people into the police simulator and they get a chance to see how it is from the other side, but also we bring guest officers in to facilitate, and that does two things. One, not only does it allow citizens to interact with officers in a non-confrontational way, in a fun way, if you will, but it also gives officers a chance to do the same, because oftentimes officers don't get a chance to engage with some of these individuals when they're not arresting them or not pulling them over. And then long term, we're looking at how we invest in with our young people, and how we start building those bridges with our young people, like with the program that Fox 2 just ran, our community case review. And what that's doing is it's actually a long-term investment where we're getting young people in front of officers, and the kids that left that program, they have a different perspective about law enforcement. They see officers as, hey, I had a good time with this officer. I got to understand the other side of the job with this officer. So, I think again, at the crux of it, our job is, violent offenders are going to be held accountable. There's no two ways around that, and we've been consistent with that. But with the low-level nonviolent offenders, we want to look at alternatives. We want to look at education and outreach and how we build that trust deficit that we do see around the country. Tabitha.
We're talking with St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell. Wesley, when you first came into office, there were a lot of people who said you wouldn't be able to do the job. You heard it. You heard the criticism.
Of course.
Oh, who is this guy? He doesn't have any experience. He's running off prosecutors who have a lot of experience. It's going to be bad. Then you have people come after you because you gave a full review of the Michael Brown situation. I still remember people yelling at you saying you wouldn't be elected again. I just think it's important to understand that people, no matter what side of the fence you sit on, I've seen it firsthand. I respect what you've done and what you're standing up for in all of these situations. With that being said, and me saying that, what does the job mean to you right now when we're in an era where we continue to see violent crime go up, not only in St. Louis City and St. Louis County, but across the country?
I think first and foremost, to your first point, it's about the work. You have to be ready to roll your sleeves up, put your head down, and do the job. And so every day, that's myself and my team's focus, is that we're going to do the job, to do what we can to bring justice to residents of St. Louis County and hold offenders accountable. But there are some things that we thought were important that we needed to change. We were, the incarceration rates for low-level nonviolent offenders. And I want to make sure that your audience understands where we are. With serious and violent offenders, they're going to be held accountable. We advocate, and when appropriate, that they remain in jail pending their trial. If they are a threat to the community, if they are charged with a serious crime, that we are consistent with. But those low-level nonviolent offenders, what statistics show is that if you take someone with just a drug problem, they haven't harmed anyone, they just have a drug problem, you put them in jail for 3 days, you increase the likelihood by 40% that they're going to come back to jail on another charge. A 5-day stay increases the likelihood by 50% that they'll be back for another charge. So the idea that just locking everyone up keeps us safer is completely in contradiction to what the research tells us.
Oh, I agree completely.
And so, and I'll say this quick to get to your question. So what we're looking at is, Vic, we're going to be fair. We're going to when we're dealing with, and we heard some of the criticism and things of that nature, but our whole idea is we're going to be fair. We're going to be firm when it's appropriate. We're going to be fair when it's appropriate, fair all the time. And then for those who just need a second chance, we want to be compassionate. And I think a prosecutor has to juggle all those balls at the same time, and that's what we're endeavoring to do.
Well, Wesley, I completely agree with you. I mean, they're nonviolent offenders should not be locked up with violent offenders, because I know they come out and they're a changed person. They've seen something that maybe they never needed to see. And but what's the answer? What do we do about nonviolent offenders, and how do we be more proactive with violent offenders? We have to get the violent offenders off of our streets. We have to stop giving them a little wrist slap. We need to, I don't want to say we need to put a violent offender in prison for the rest of their lives, but what is the answer? It's such a difficult situation.
And there is a misconception. When you look at courts in St. Louis City and St. Louis County, and I've been practicing now for over 20 years, and so I've practiced in both jurisdictions. Violent offenders are held accountable. Now, sometimes there are evidentiary problems if there's not enough evidence to prove a case. And so, that is what it is. It's our justice system, and I think it's the best justice system by and large in the world. But I think the difference is that we have to recognize that with those low-level nonviolent offenders, and again, let's be clear. This is an issue that Republicans and Democrats get behind by and large. That we have to look at alternatives. We incarcerate more people than any place in the world, and it doesn't keep us safer. What we see is we've incarcerated more people, and our crime rates have gone up with certain violent crimes, because generally crime has not gone up. But what I'll say is this, is that what we know what the solutions are, it's just whether we have the will to implement them, and they are. We got to invest in early childhood care. We got to invest in our schools, especially in our at-risk schools and our inner-city schools, because much of this stuff, much of the crime that you're talking about, Tabitha, it happens upstream of the criminal justice system.
Right.
By the time we get it, the damage is done.
Well, that's why we need to be more proactive, and that's something in this country we've never been.
Well, that's what Colonel Joe Adams was talking about.
I was just going to say that.
Comes
yes.
to, there is now we had a colonel on before, honored for Congressional Medal of Honor. He didn't think that there was, quote, systemic racism in police departments. He's like, but you're kidding yourself and lying to yourself if you don't believe that there is systemic racism in our neighborhoods and educational
no question
situations. I see it too, and I've seen it my whole life. I'm just curious, Wesley, when it comes to our system and your legal system now, what are the trends that you and your staff are seeing when it comes to cases coming through the St. Louis County? Anything that concerns you? Obviously we know about gun violence, but I'm just curious.
You know what? There are some things that concern me. What we're seeing is offenders are getting younger and younger. We had a case where a 15-year-old killed a 14-year-old, and both were armed. And we do tend to see more violent crimes. We're seeing more violence with many of our teenagers and car thefts and things of that nature. I will say this, one on the other side of that, one on the bright side, what we've seen is that when individuals get the support, with our diversion program, we've brought in not only organizations that help with mental health and substance use, which is at the heart of much of the crime that we see. And I would say 80% of the crimes that come through the Justice Center have some connection to drugs. And when we're talking about it, either possession, which is, that's an easier fix, treatment, things of that nature, mental health, but also people who are escalating and they're robbing to feed that drug habit. And what we've seen in our drug program, which has helped over in not even 2 years, over 1,000 people, is that when we give individuals these resources, access to housing, access to jobs, the recidivism rate is less than 7% for those individuals. And when you look at the federal courts, where they have a very robust system of helping transition people back into the community and given the support, their recidivism rate or reoffender rate is less than 10%. So we know how to address both Vic, you and Tabitha's question. We got to start providing those resources proactively, because an individual with a job, the facts show he or she is significantly less likely to commit a crime. An individual that has housing, an individual that has that support, they are significantly less likely to offend. And so if we're serious about keeping our community safe, then we're going to have to invest in education. We're going to have to invest in all those things on the front end.
And what can we do? Wesley, what I want to know, me as a community member, what can I do if I want to make a difference and I want to try to help in some way? What are my options?
So, there's a lot of things that people can do, and especially someone in your position, helping spread accurate information about how we can help individuals. Because I'll make this point, and I'll make it quick because I know you all are short on time, is that what we're seeing is that an individual, if we give them the support, they're going to succeed. That's just the bottom line. And those who are inclined to commit violent crimes, the crimes that we all are concerned about and concerned about our families, what happens is that when those individuals don't start at violent crime, they start at low-level offenses, and when they are just incarcerated and not given the help, they escalate and graduate. And it's kind of like you said, Tabitha, jail tends to be like a training school,
right?
And they escalate to more violent crime. So we got to catch them down at the nonviolent level when it's just a car break-in, when it's just drug possession.
Oh, I agree.
Get them
completely.
the help that they need, and they are significantly less likely to escalate to the violent crime.
We've been talking with St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell. Wesley, we appreciate all the time you've given us this morning. Hey, I'm curious, when you're not busting your butt on this job, what are you doing for fun?
Well, one, the Cardinals are 3 games up.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
When during baseball season, that's kind of my life after work is watching the Cardinal games. Cards, Cubs, that's big. But you know, this job takes up a lot of time. But you know, I love what I do. I love our staff, the men and women in our office are amazing and dedicated. And so it's a labor. It's labor, but it's a labor of love. And you know, we're going to keep pushing and you know, trying to do what we can to keep this region safe, but also, what I think is important is building those bridges that we see across the country, and that particularly with law enforcement in many of our communities. So.
St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell. Wesley, thanks again. Have a good weekend, and go Cards.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And we got to beat the Cubs. We need a sweep, right, Vic?
Yeah. In a perfect world,
come on, it's the Cubs.
I hope I'm coming in on Monday saying, hey, the Cardinals swept the Cubs and the Blues swept the Avalanche. What an awesome weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we can't sweep them. We're down 0-2.
I know. We'll sweep the weekend
the rest,
series.
though, right? Yeah.
Wesley, appreciate it, man. All right, have a great weekend. Glad that, we'll take a breath now. Woo!
Been a busy morning.
We've been rocking and rolling from Colonel Joe Adams to St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell. I've always said this. It's easy to criticize and rip people from the side until you get a chance to get him on. I'm grateful that he came on. Now, we didn't have a specific case to go at him, but one of the reasons I wanted to get him on was there is an effort. There is a try. Just so you can hear people talking. All it takes is a little bit of time to listen to somebody talk, especially on radio.
Absolutely. And the county and the city, we have to remember, are 2 totally different entities.
And whether you like things that you're hearing or not, you find out where somebody stands on the side of the fence, from the politicians we've had on to individuals, you name it. That's why we have the show, so you can hear people and see where they're coming from. I mean, we started at 8:15. We went with guests now for just over an hour. Brendan, thank you for rocking and rolling and trying to get stuff back. Now and if there's an echo or whatever, I look down.
I know we've been having some
Sorry
issues.
if there's an echo. Sorry if I sound like I have a cold. I feel awesome. I feel wonderful today.
And your hair looks fantastic.
And my hair from Hans Wyman looks awesome. So, woo, taking a breath, going back. I can't.
There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there is. And I guess
Do you want to take a break and come back?
Well, if
it's
we
about
take a
break time.
You know, we'll take a quick break.
Yeah, because then we have so much to talk about with Joe Adams in his conversation and Wesley Bell.
And we'll also get into the Middle East. There's a ceasefire.
There is.
Right now.
Yes.
We'll see how long that lasts. Also, suspects named when it comes to the murders that took place.
Tyler Terry.
In University City and in Brentwood. A lot to get it to before this hour ends. We'll take your calls as well. 636-695-2915. Once again, 636-695-2915. Give us a call if you want. Or on the Facebook line, we'll take your questions there as well. Try to get to as many of them as possible. Before we call it a day, we still take you to the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. You're listening to The Edge with Brendan Shanahan, Tabitha Hassell, and Vic Faust of Fox 2. Back right after this.
The Edge Morning Show. Yeah, we know we don't start as early as the other show.
everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you have some plans. What are you guys up to this weekend? You can let us know that as well. Love it when you share the show as well on Facebook, 100.7 The Viper. Once again, 100.7 The Viper on Facebook. Feel free to share the show if you like what we're doing. We call it the fastest 2 hours of morning radio. And this morning, no different. Thanks again to Colonel Joe Adams, who joined us. As a matter of fact, Tabitha's on the phone with Colonel Joe now. He called back to give us some information. We'll share that in just a moment. And then Wesley Bell. Thanks again to the St. Louis County Prosecutor for taking about 15 minutes to join us to talk about what's going on in the county, to get another perspective of what we're dealing with. The thing that concerns me when it comes to Wesley Bell is you are seeing younger and younger and younger people committing crimes. I mean, he talks about a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old in a gun battle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I look at my kids going 14 and 15
Exactly.
and guns and shooting each other and having a rolling gun battle. I mean, amazing.
And you see the carjackers happening at 13, 14 years old, things like that.
We are seeing it. And we'll continue to get into that once again. If you want to give us a call, the phone number is 636-695-2915, 636-695-2915. You guys should call Dan Bongino sometime. He's a crack up from the Facebook line. Well, yeah, if we could get Dan on, that would be an interesting phone call for sure. That would be interesting. Okay. Lots to get into. Real quick, though. Tabitha, you just got off the phone with Colonel Joe. Why did he call back?
And
What's
I
going
almost
on?
just put him on hold and just put him back on with us because I'm like, I love hearing everything he said. He heard that we were going to start talking about Hamas and Israel and the ceasefire, and he wanted to make sure we knew that this is a temporary ceasefire, which I assumed it was. And he said there's three facets from a military perspective when you have a ceasefire. And those three facets is one is political appeasement, because obviously they want to keep NATO and the U.S. happy, and in this case, Egypt as well. And repositioning their logistics, they're going to reposition, and then reloading. And what I'm assuming he's meaning by this is anytime that there is a ceasefire, all that's doing is giving them the opportunity to build back up again for the next wave. So the ceasefire is never going to continue. The same thing happened in Syria and many other countries. When they have a ceasefire, it just gives them the opportunity to rebuild, to come back and basically come at them even harder with the second wave.
Well, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said yesterday, I mean, she's like, well, we're happy that this has happened. But then she said something to the effect, well, we understand that Israel's accomplished what they want to accomplish. I was like, is she saying this? Like they've got what they want right now.
I don't agree with that.
So they have sat back now and they're fine for the ceasefire.
I don't agree with that.
And I don't.
They're getting ready to get pummeled.
Who's getting ready to get pummeled?
Israel. There is no doubt Hamas is just like Joe said, they're going to come after Israel once again.
Well,
this is not a permanent ceasefire.
Aren't all ceasefires temporary ceasefires, really?
To some degree. But I mean, this I think is probably a very, very temporary ceasefire.
Well, that's what you have, at least a ceasefire right now. What happens? We don't know. There was peace there for a while. There's not peace there right now. There doesn't appear to be peace on the way. And once again, every time one rocket goes, it just continues this for years and years and years
to come. It does. Because when you have two different religious ideologies fighting over the same holy sites, I mean, there's never going to be permanent peace. I really don't think there will be.
Well, you've also got a situation now where progressives in the Democratic Party were all over President Biden for saying that we're supporting Israel. That arms deal is going through. Bernie Sanders drew up legislation to try to stop it. Others in Congress also were trying to stop it. Nothing's going to stop. And then all you have to do, I go through CNN and Fox right now on the websites. Front of the page, wave of hate, violence against Jewish communities exploding across the United States as Israel-Hamas ceasefire takes effect. So that stuff comes into the communities as well. You see
Absolutely so. Absolutely.
Where does it go? I have absolutely no idea. But all I know is that you're starting to see some of the things. ABC is even suggesting that Biden brokered the ceasefire.
And that is 100% not true.
And why do you say that?
The only thing that Biden has brokered, he of course wants to take claim for that, just like he takes credit for the vaccine that Trump pushed through. But we know the Obama administration did it. The Biden administration is doing it. They fund Hamas. They fund them. They give money to Palestinians, which gets funneled back to Hamas. I mean, there's no question. It's a proven fact. He is actually paying for a lot of these weapons that are attacking Israel. I mean, it's insane. And no one calls them out on it.
Well, I mean, some of the violence that you're seeing now, you've got pro-Israel, pro-Palestinian protesters clashing in New York City. You can see some of the video.
Anti-Semitism is up, no question.
And what I see is more division in this country, from the election to COVID-19 to mask to vaccines to Israel to Palestinians. I mean, there's all kinds of hate. There's all kinds of division, all kinds of fighting. And it doesn't seem to be anything stopping with it, because we already know what's going to happen in the Middle East. There's not going to be peace. And we know it from a scriptural standpoint for those who believe in scripture. It's we can, I mean, we had 6 months of peace after what was his name? Trump's son-in-law. Kushner was over there.
Right.
We're in a deal. And then all of a sudden, what you have now, you have fighting.
And it'll always be that way. Any peace is going to be temporary. I mean, that's just the case, because when it comes to religious ideology, just like we know with Muslims, the Shiite and the Sunni have been going at it for centuries. I mean, thousands of years. It's there's never going to be peace.
But from a
total peace.
Well,
No.
yeah, and from a national standpoint, though, it's a big story.
It's a huge
It
story.
is a big story. And why should you care? Well, where is the United States' involvement in the whole situation?
Right, because you have to decide what when the rest of the big boys are in, what side are they on, and that's why it can really elevate.
Well, it's interesting too when Joe was talking about it, where the missiles are coming from. He said the missiles and Hamas are being supplied by
Iran.
He said Iran, and
Yeah.
didn't he say another Syria?
And
Did
yes.
he say Syria?
I don't know, but he may have said Syria. Probably.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to say, but
Because
nationally,
Iran and Syria
here's the
kind of
thing.
go
I mean,
hand
this-
in hand.
You could take final after final after final and still not understand
But
what's
I'm
truly
not.
going on. in the Middle East.
You know what? The Middle East is very complicated, because I am not anti-Assad. I am not against the Assad regime.
Well, you and I spoke about that,
And-
and neither am I, because I've talked to Syrians who I know
Correct.
who
There's-
are some of the best people you'd ever want to meet, and they're like, don't ever believe anything when somebody says nationally.
That's exactly right.
That Assad hates his people, or is gassing his people, or is killing his
He's
people.
a minority.
He
in,
says that's
correct.
a false narrative.
I mean, the guy was raised in London. He's an optometrist who got thrown into the role. And I'm not saying he hasn't done brutal things, but he's also dealing with a majority of people there who are Sunni, who want to see him and all of the other minorities in that country killed. I mean, he is the
Well,
only thing
nationally-
standing to keep ISIS away from that country.
I know we were talking about the Biden, ABC suggesting the Biden administration brokered the temporary ceasefire, but nationally or internationally, Egypt
Yes,
is getting
correct.
credit.
That is correct.
For jumping in and doing that. So what's Egypt's play in all of that as well? Because last time I checked, Israel didn't have any friends in the Middle East.
Well, Egypt is a bordering country. I think that they probably don't want. I'm guessing my guess is Egypt doesn't want an influx of refugees coming into their country. Now that's only a guess, only my opinion. I honestly don't know, but that is my best guess, is that they don't want people to flee into their country and end up being refugees.
In the midst of that going on, remember when we talked about COVID at the beginning and mask? It's like, that's not the international news anymore. It's not the national news. It's not at the forefront. Even the forefront
And
of
Eric's
local,
not here, so.
of local news. Yeah, by the way, I mean, I think most of our listeners know Eric's in Los Angeles with Platinum Rock Legends.
He
They're
is.
playing a concert tonight. It's tonight, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's tonight they play a concert. He'll be back Monday. Chris, I think he'll be back
Tuesday, I believe.
sometime
Tuesday or
next
Wednesday.
week. Sometime next
Maybe.
week. He's down in Florida. Of course, we take your phone calls at 636-695-2915. Also, you can check in on Facebook at 100.7 The Viper. Did you see on fox2now.com, it's there now, or last night, the St. John police officer rushed to the hospital. He's going to be fine, but he was dragged by a car at a traffic stop. Apparently, he was there. The driver gave the officer their license, and then the officer grabs it, and then they take off. So keep in mind what just happened. And the officer gets dragged, but he's fine. The driver gives his license to the officer
and then takes off.
And then takes off.
That person needed Wesley Bell's class
Yes,
on what
yes.
to do during a traffic stop.
Yes,
If you
I'd-
plan to drag police officers, do not give them your license to let you know who you are.
Yeah, like here, I'm going to give you all my information, and then I'm going to get a head start.
Hey, Vic, nice to meet you. Bill Cumstein. I live at this address. Stick them up.
And then thankfully, the Ring video. So many times we're starting to see this.
Everyone needs a Ring video
And
camera.
Ring helped capture the woman who's involved with
Tyler Terry,
the two suspects who shot and killed our two St. Louis residents last Saturday night.
Correct.
Ring video helped get this whole thing started.
That's amazing,
And
isn't it?
home video last night captured the same thing with the St. John police officer who was there. So they had it all on video as well. Just makes you think, my gosh, how technology has changed things with what we're dealing with every day.
And I really do think that local leaders need to give out Ring video cameras to every household if they want it. Because I can tell you right now, those things have solved so much crime. So much crime. Anyone that has one, you know what? If something happens in your town, if a car drives by, if somebody's been kidnapped, etc., that camera footage is so useful.
Yeah. I mean, it's got it. A lot of times it'll at least give you timelines.
Absolutely.
That's the big thing. It's timelines.
It's very proactive. Could you imagine if you're a criminal and you want to, let's say, steal a car or break into someone's home or kidnap someone off the street, and you think everyone has a Ring video camera, or you're going to be a lot less likely to do so.
You know, I see a lot of blatantness, though. To be honest with you, they walk up whether or not there's not
and a
on
lot of
camera
times
or whatever.
they don't always know it's there, and it's not just
Because
Ring.
you don't see it, yeah.
There's a whole series of
There's
different
literally
brands.
a blue light. You can see when you walk up onto my front porch, you can see that
Yeah.
there's a blue light and there's something that is watching you.
Everyone needs one.
So if you come by Shanny's house, there's a blue light and we've got your picture.
I'm going to go up to your doorstep later and terrorize your home.
Do a little act. Do
a
some
little
stand
dance.
up.
A little dance.
Tell some jokes.
By the way, we needed to get into this before we left today too, and at 9:37, major credit, and I know they caught a break with Major K Squad in the St. Louis area when it comes to Barbara Goodkin, who was murdered on Del Mar Saturday night, shot as her and her husband were just driving. Word is the car was passing by them and just shot in their car.
Correct.
Just shot into
Just randomly.
just shot into their car.
Supposedly.
That wasn't even that's not a robbery.
It's not a robbery.
That's
it is not a
random
robbery.
killing. This was, police said, well, this could have been about robbery.
Yeah, they just don't have an answer.
The second murder of Dr. Sergey Zacharov from the Chesterfield Town and Country area, they did take things off him. This couple, of course, in St. Louis to buy drugs and then went right back down to South Carolina. So
They shot him 9 times with 2 different
What?
guns. Now, he was shot 9 times with 2 different weapons.
Right.
I mean, that is not a robbery, in my opinion.
Does that mean each one of them had a weapon and they both probably
believe
shot?
so.
It's not like one of them shot and then put the gun away and said, "Oh, I'm going to try this one now."
I'm assuming, honestly, I don't know. I'm assuming they both shot him, but I don't know that. Maybe that is the case, because I heard there were several gunshots, a pause. I think they shot at him like 20-something times. He just happened to get hit 9 times. Wow. But he was shot at with a barrage of
For
bullets.
as many people that shot, you think they would be a better.
And
they'd
that
have
is
better range.
not, I don't care what anyone says, that is not about robbery. That's either about 2 things. It's either a targeted hit. These people drove from South Carolina here to kill these people, or
no, it's not.
And I know
At
they're
first
saying
I
that's
thought
not
it was
the case.
At first, I thought it was a target. That's not a target.
I think they're just really bad people
These
and
are
just
drugged
wanted
up,
to
whacked out,
kill people.
messed up people, because you saw what started in South Carolina. And if you could let people know again, Tabitha, how the first break came with this woman. They captured her.
There was
in South Carolina.
The subject, Tyler Terry, ended up in a shootout with police. How that transpired and how it began, I don't know. But he was in a shootout with police. And at that point, they did take the woman into custody. And she's the one that connected the cases and basically said, we were just in St. Louis. This is what happened. And that's how they ended up because this all went down on Tuesday night in South Carolina. And she talked, and that's how they ended up connecting the cases.
I was wondering if that's how she had the black eye.
Yeah.
I
Because
believe
if you look at
so.
her mugshot, she has a
Yep.
black eye. Because how'd she get the black eye? I was like, Well, she was on the run.
She was, yes.
I mean,
These are some bad people. I mean, these are some bad people.
but the worst part about it is Tyler
Terry
Tyler Terry is still
on the run.
He's still on the run.
And
His
right.
pictures out there.
And he was seen a second time in South Carolina. It's believed at that point he was still in South Carolina as of yesterday. Today, who knows where he's at. But these are dangerous, dangerous people.
Why do you go from South Carolina, drive 15 hours to St. Louis
exactly.
for drugs? That's a long.
I will never
There
believe
is
that.
a whole lot of drugs going along that whole eastern seaboard.
Chicago's a lot closer. I mean, a lot of places are a lot closer. They don't need to come to St. Louis to buy drugs. But
Chicago's not closer to South Carolina.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't they go to Chicago? Why St. Louis?
Memphis, Nashville, those places are.
I mean,
though.
there's so many places to go. You don't even need to leave South Carolina to go buy drugs, quite
Right.
honestly. I mean, there has to be something that brought them. I mean, why did they say, oh, let's just drive to St. Louis today? Let's go kill some people in St. Louis.
Yeah.
There has to be
City
something that brought
Museum's
them
fun.
here. Yeah. It's
So
strange.
are you still saying you think something else is going
No,
on?
I'm mystified. I honestly don't know. I mean, I think these are crazy people, but
Well,
what
just
brought
remember,
them to St. Louis?
They were trying to escape. They must have known somebody in North County.
Yeah.
Because they said they came to North County.
Correct.
So they knew somebody to get them some drugs.
But police, I've spoken to somebody who works with a major case squad, and they told me there is no connection to St. Louis. There's no reason to believe that they knew anyone here in North County or anywhere else. They have absolutely zero ties to St. Louis that have been discovered at this time. Zero ties.
And let me give you a family perspective. I know one of Barbara Goodkin's relatives who's been with the family and was with Stanley. And I said it yesterday, Stanley, who was driving the car when they were shot upon. I mean, just think about this. It could happen to anybody. You're driving, going home to your home in Clayton, and all of a sudden your car just starts getting shot up.
Right.
For no reason. For no reason at all.
Do you think?
And he doesn't wish to even be alive after watching his longtime wife.
I can't blame him.
And now we're finding out, of course, it always seems like this stuff happens to great people, or there's a lot of great people in our society. Barbara Goodkin was involved in so much. I mean, from every Jewish community center event you can imagine to you name it.
It's extremely tragic.
A random murder, and the families are left going, what?
And
Now we're trying to pick up the pieces because,
Right.
and there's really no answers.
That's exactly right. It would be so
They didn't-
frustrating to wonder, why did this happen to my loved one and not have an answer? To think that these people randomly came here and just shot them simply because they were driving past. I mean, it's like, what made them look at these people and say, I'm just going to fire into the car and kill these people? I mean, it doesn't, none of this makes sense.
But people like that don't make sense.
You're right. You're right. Psychopaths don't make sense.
Because they have no remorse for what they're doing. To them, it's, hey, let's do this.
And somebody on the comment line who said they were maybe delivering, or, I mean, you don't need to come to St. Louis to pick up drugs. Or I mean, you
drugs
just don't.
start in South Carolina.
I mean, drugs are everywhere. You don't need to go to another city and drive anywhere to pick up or deliver drugs. You just don't. It makes no sense.
And another interesting, Tabitha told me this offline too. This woman who was with Terry Tyler, I can't even think of her name right now.
I
My
don't know her
computer's
name.
crashed. Chris, if you're listening to the show, we need new computers. I'm sorry. I can't even do the job. We've got an issue with this guy. Her husband.
Yeah, who was missing.
He was missing.
Correct.
Found dead in a ditch. So
Coincidence?
allegedly they killed. So allegedly they killed her, and Terry killed her husband, and he was found in a ditch before they came north to St. Louis to get drugs.
Right.
There's a whole nother concern. If St. Louis is known as the drug capital of the United States, let's go to St. Louis to get drugs.
I don't believe that's the case.
I
at all.
hope not.
I mean, we
don't
make a lot of
believe
lists,
that's the
but that's
case.
really not one that I've heard of. To
No.
be honest with you, I mean, you hear the murder, the crime rate, the carjacking, things like that, but I have not heard that we're the go-to place for the drug
There's
trafficking.
drugs all over the place. That theory to me makes zero sense. But they were here.
And again, from the Facebook line, probably, guys, you watch. Tyler will be killed because he will never stop or
Oh yeah,
give up.
there's no question.
Oh yeah,
No question about
he's
that.
already
And it
he's
will be
already proved that he's going to shoot at cops.
Absolutely.
If you're going to
Literally.
shoot at cops,
They won't give him even the slightest chance.
Bonnie and Clyde from the Facebook line is what we're starting to see. People around the country know how easy it is to score drugs in St. Louis. Comments from the line. the drug-addicted, gun-wielding, desperate murderer who randomly started killing people. Be afraid. Yeah. I mean, especially when you're just standing on a corner.
Absolutely.
Waiting for your Uber.
And he gave them his belongings. They had no reason to shoot him 9 times outside of just being homicidal maniacs.
Also, people do crazy crap when they're on crazy crap.
They do. Correct.
Yes.
We spoke with the DEA recently. I've got a contact there too. They've been telling me for 2 years fentanyl it's tearing up the country.
It
is.
is.
And it's coming straight from guess where?
Oh, across the border.
Mexico. It's
No
coming from the
question.
cartels. Marijuana's being laced with fentanyl, which is why you better damn well be careful. If you're smoking something, you better damn well be careful. You know exactly where you're getting it from. I'm just telling you right now, because
you're
the
right.
kids are being affected by this too, then becoming addicted through the vape pens, through you name it, not thinking it's a serious deal. Then all of a sudden you get a blood test. Oh, when did I do fentanyl? Well, guess what? You did marijuana and it was laced.
Right. And
you
people
have
do
a lot
die.
of things that are laced.
People die.
Every day.
People do die.
That's cops who just come in contact with fentanyl and
Absolutely.
some of these things wind up getting sick and hospitalized from fentanyl.
It takes the teeniest pinprick of an amount of fentanyl to kill you. And some of these kids, even adults who are first-time users, die because they don't understand that fentanyl is in these drugs.
Well, when I was in the DEA headquarters, I don't know, 9 months ago, when we walk into the room that they deal with it, it is an enclosed case. It's a clear case,
right?
Where you have rubber gloves on, you have mask, you're protected as if you're dealing with some sort of biohazard situation.
Well, it is. The vapors will kill you.
Yeah, literally, they have it inside, so you have to mask up and put everything. When you walk in, and then you put your hands through 2 circular holes to start working. That's how they deal with fentanyl.
Yeah.
Right.
The dust of it will seriously kill you. It's a very dangerous situation for police when there's fentanyl potentially in a vehicle or in a home or in someone's pocket, etc. It's
Even
a very,
in
very bad
controlled
situation.
it's dangerous.
No question.
You know, it's just bad. It's very, very bad, and I hate it. I hate the whole opioid addiction. Everything just drives me crazy about it.
From the Facebook line, if you're smoking it, you better go to Kind Goods. My good friend just opened 3 dispensaries trying to get some hype there. George Floyd had 3 times the legal dose of fentanyl in his system. That's coming from Facebook poster. Yeah, that scared me. Hadn't heard of it in weed. Really?
Yeah, I've heard that it's been in everything.
Absolutely. It gets laced. And it's crazy, crazy stuff. And, I think it's addictive, too, at the same point in time. And then you got to have it. You want it, you got to have it, and then there you go. So it's just one of those things that people are having to deal with. Okay. It's 9:48. What do we got, about 3 minutes before our first? Yeah, 4 minutes. Okay, before we get out of here, can we bring up something? And I know we were jumping from the topics, but, man, we didn't have a lot of time. What is your experience, listeners and viewers, with mask and vaccine talk this week? I'm curious if anybody's being forced to wear a mask anywhere, or what the talk is, or if anybody's being asked to see vaccine passport or vaccine cards or anything of that nature. Because I've also seen and heard of, even though it's illegal, vaccine cards popping up again. and oh yeah, here's my card. Even if somebody didn't want to put this stuff into their body. I'm curious. Anybody have any more stories?
I'm at Costco yesterday. Everybody was still wearing masks that I saw.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Where, in St. Charles County?
Right over here in St. Peter's. Everybody had masks on, and I don't think I saw a single person without a mask on in Costco last night.
Really? Tabitha, have you been out anywhere? Do you see any masks?
I was in Ruth's Chris last night, and while they do not require patrons to wear a mask, the employees still have to wear a mask, and I was pretty irritated about that.
Do you
honestly.
know that kids in Kansas City right now are not having to wear masks?
Right.
But in St. Louis, they are.
And was it Texas that mandated that it is against their law now to force anyone to wear a mask outside of a private business?
Here's the signs that I'm seeing now. It'll still show that picture of a person with a mask on, but then in a little print underneath, it just says masks are recommended but not required. So it still looks like they, when you walk in, you're supposed to have a mask on because people don't really read.
I'm scared to talk about it because they will delete our show.
Well, from the
for even
Facebook
saying the
line,
word.
we drove 8 states and Missouri was the worst about mask.
Right.
I'm seeing at least 50% of people mask. Oh, this is a big story, and Chris isn't here. Menards is, quote, finally not requiring mask. Menards.
Oh, man, everybody nails ain't need no mask.
Chris will be happy to hear that when he comes back. Lincoln County schools are still making the kids wear masks just as always. I have a feeling it's going to happen until the end of the school year. And speaking of the school year, I was getting into this because I was curious if anybody was going to give us an update on what happened with the Francis Howell school district meeting last night. If it did take place, what happened? I'll try to work on an update for you before we get out of here after we take this first break, because people are still talking about masks. Well, let's just let the kids finish out the school year. For some, that's still a month away. And you want to talk about dealing with a bunch of crap. We got word because of COVID and half days, East St. Louis High School, those seniors, those kids have to go to school to the end of June.
Are you serious?
Because to make sure that everything's accredited.
Oh my gosh.
The kids in East St. Louis, because of COVID, imagine those seniors. They're stuck in school and can't graduate.
Right.
And can't move on anywhere until they finish out the full school days, which takes them through the end of June.
In the warmer months, the last thing you want to be doing is sweating away in a mask.
Blew my mind hearing that. Hey, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll continue to talk here on The Edge with Brendan, Tabitha. I'm Vic at Fox 2. Back right after this.
The Edge Morning Show.
left, having fun with all of you, our listeners. Thanks for listening today. Thanks for watching on Facebook, 100.7 The Viper. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Once again, from a sports standpoint, big weekend in St. Louis. Cardinals opening up, letting about 30,000 fans in, or at least selling 30,000 tickets. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the Cubs. Completely useless by September is what that means, Brendan. You're a Bears fan, but you're not a Cubs fan.
Well, I grew up about 5 miles from Wrigley.
So you are a Cubs fan?
I am not.
Okay, good.
Yes,
that's all right.
I'm a White Sox fan. So
all right,
we're both Chicago people here.
That's right. Two Chicago.
And you're kind of a Detroit
well,
guy.
no, I mean I'm a St. Louisan. I spent 11 years in Detroit, and I just hope and pray that someday, somehow, St. Louis can ascend to be somewhat close to what Detroit's downtown is like. Because people who haven't been to Detroit, and I've said this so many times, have no idea. I'm sorry. You hear Detroit, you think of 70s and 80s Detroit. Detroit has flown way past St. Louis. I always tell people, go to Detroit and see everything there is to do, and look at the beautiful Blue River, the Detroit River. Yes, it's blue,
Yes.
and there's so much to do in the state of Michigan, and
Oh, no questions.
and
Michigan's
the
a beautiful
city
state.
and all 4 sports teams downtown, and people from the county go to the city and feel safe and support the city and the region. I mean, I don't know how we got on this, but you said you're from Detroit. No, but when I went there, when I did my first trip and somebody ripped Detroit, then I was like, okay, I'm defending Detroit now. It's like, okay, I guess I've become Detroit. If you go there, just trust me. St. Louis needs to be flying to Detroit representatives. How can we make St. Louis Detroit? And I'm not kidding.
No, I agree.
In the 90s, I was up to be Ted Nugent's sidekick up in Detroit. Yes. It'll be a great show here on The Bear. We're playing lots of rock and roll music. But I turned it down because I didn't want to move to Detroit.
Yeah, I get it. Hey, guys, we got to get out of here. Have an awesome weekend. We'll catch you Monday morning. Share the show, 100.7 The Viper. For Brendan Shanahan, Tabitha Hassell, I'm Vic Faust of Fox 2. I'll see you tonight for Fox 2 News at 5 and 9. Have an awesome weekend. We'll see you later. Go Cards. Go Blues.
KFNS FM, Troy, St. Charles, and the Westplex. 100.7 FM, The Viper. Legendary rock that really rocks. The Legends of Rock Kiss.